Well, some call it the worst kept secret in Canadian politics, the rampant misogyny and abuse of power that goes unchecked, that many women have to face in the Canadian political landscape. So we're here to talk a little bit about that in light of the allegations against Patrick Brown. I'm joined by Tiffany Gooch. She is a political strategist with Enterprise and an advocate for gender and cultural diversity in Canadian politics. Thank you so much for being with me. Did it surprise you to hear about these allegations? And for you, is this bigger than just about Patrick Brown?
This is much bigger than Patrick Brown. This is men in power abusing their power. This is an issue that we've been talking about for quite some time, and not a partisan issue, not something that is tied to any specific party. And I think there's a real need for us to make sure right now that we're pulling out of a partisan sort of conversation, that this is really focused on how we can create safer spaces for girls and women in politics. And I think there are a lot of women who have reached this point where they think it's a part of their job to be perhaps groped or have inappropriate comments placed toward them from whether a member or a staffer or a stakeholder. It's across the board. How many women have we lost who attended an event or started to get involved and decided this was a space that they didn't want to be in for that reason? I think there are a lot of voices that were lost through that process. I think there are a lot of women who have had to silence themselves, have been carrying it themselves. But I think it's also really, really tough to be seen as an issue rather than a person. And I think for these women, as they come forward and they have to make considerations to what this is going to do to the politics of a party that they may have very much believed in the work that it was doing and moving forward, coming forward in an election period, this is a really big moment altogether. But I think it's a conversation, I hope, that we can make sure is focused on the wellness of women, on thinking forward to how we are preventing these things from happening and how we're bringing men in to the conversation.
We're going to have more from a political staffer who worked on Parliament Hill, speaking candidly about her experience, what she saw while she was working there, and what she hopes to see will change coming out of these allegations. Well, talk of sexual misconduct by a politician is nothing new for some women who work in Canadian politics. They say the misogyny is rampant and the abuse of power goes unchecked. We spoke with a former staffer about her experience working as a woman on Parliament Hill.
I think anytime you've got a workplace without very many proper policies or procedures, where you've got a lot of men in positions of power and a lot of young women with not very much power, you've got a perfect storm for sexual harassment and assault. On one occasion, an MP forcibly kissed me very, very forcibly and left drool down my face with 20 other people, including members of Parliament, all around. He groped and grabbed me, and nobody said a thing. It really told me that young women in politics are expendable, they're replaceable, that you don't have a lot of security or value, and that if you speak out or speak up, you don't have a place in politics. You would be blacklisted. You wouldn't find work in that sphere again.
Do you hope that this can open up a dialogue or a conversation and make some change?
Yes, absolutely. There needs to be a process that's neutral and trusted and fair to investigate claims. We also shouldn't place too much emphasis on that, because we also need to be looking at preventing harassment from happening in the first place. It's no good to say we don't have to tackle any of the harassment because we've got a complaints procedure now. The problem is the culture, it's the systems, it's how pervasive and normalised it is. If you know and you work in a party as a position of power, then come forward yourself and tackle your own internal mess. Don't make women come out to the media with their stories when you know it's an open secret in your own party.
The Young Women's Leadership Network announced today that they are putting together a sexual violence support toolkit for campaigns across all party lines, and they say they hope to have that ready in the coming months in time for the next provincial election and the municipal election.